Okay, so I think I've finally solved the lighting issue. Um, I swear, we're on episode 3 of Wonder Man and we're getting less and less content. I can see why they dropped all 8 episodes at once. That and plus, it's more of a, yeah, we're dropping it because we made it, but, that was the old model. Just watch it and forget about it. So, we find out that even at 13, he had his powers. And it's implied that he started the kitchen fire, not that something with the stove. And it sounds like Eric knows. From the very beginning, he knew that it was Simon. Now, they also said Simon was alone. So I guess they knew about his powers before. The question is, did Mom? I'm guessing no. So it sounds more and more like they are going to make Simon a mutant, which I'm fine with. Um, so Eric doesn't seem to have any powers. So in the comics, basically, if I recall from what Emergency Awesome said, both of them underwent the same procedure to get powers. Only Simon turned good and Eric remained a bad guy. And it seems like Eric does have a problem with Simon. And I'm sorry, but Eric is a serious dick. I can see why prefers to be alone. Or I should say, it's very hard for him to open up to people and to accept love. And when he does accept love and that person rejects him, like his girlfriend in the first episode, it really hits him hard. Because a person who should love him via his brother doesn't seem to at all. He is always criticizing Simon. When Trevor was at the party, which, I understand why everyone is asking, what the fuck are you doing here? Because, yeah. But at this point, he just does not want to go back to jail. And damage control is threatening him with jail. So, but he saw a picture of the family. Mom, Dad, and the 2 boys. Did they mention what happened to Dad? Because a lot of that dialogue I did not get. So did they mention what happened to his father? But Eric doesn't like that he's an actor. And Trevor does speak up for him, which I was hoping for more of a speak up when Eric was berating him at the end. Because it's like, okay, Eric is berating Simon at the end. I was waiting for Trevor to say something, but he's too much paying attention to the cake moving. You could see that he was going to lose his shit. And then Eric has the gall to say, "What is wrong with you?" Dude, you were berating him and acting like you're awesome because you have a steady job that doesn't require you auditioning and, being the starving artist for a little while until you make it. And then you're shocked when Simon loses it? Especially since he obviously knew for a long time about his powers. Now, granted, it's possible that he's jealous of the fact that Simon has powers and he's wallowing away as an actor when he could be a freaking superhero. Or he genuinely looks down on Simon. Maybe he sees him as a freak, which, is very common in X-Men stories, this idea, and mutant stories that mutants are freaks. And so he thinks he's somehow above him, both as a person because he doesn't have powers, and because Simon's an actor, and he sees that as beneath him. Trevor, I finally, have to give props for Trevor. Damage Control convinced him that he will go back to jail if he does not help. Now, it's possible that that's true, or they're bluffing. Because I cannot imagine that. I mean, yes, he apparently got the FBI to take him in. But the question becomes, were they truly FBI or were they just wearing FBI vests? But at the end, when instead of, he was wearing a wire, and towards the end, after Simon opens up about his issues, Trevor decides to destroy the wire. Now, that's all well and good. But maybe he's afraid of Simon losing his shit again, but he should actually tell Simon that the Department of Damage Control is looking into you. And we're trying to use me to get to you. Or possibly even say, yes, this is why, this, that, and this happened. And I'm sorry, I should have never made that deal, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I mean, Simon seems fairly reasonable. I mean, he doesn't seem to be, like, when he loses his shit, it's for a good reason. It's not like he loses his shit just because, someone tells him something he doesn't like. If that were the case, every time he spoke to his agent and his agent told him something he didn't like, he would be losing his shit. But he doesn't. So I would think it would be safe for Trevor to say, by the way, this is a thing that happened, and I apologize. I destroyed the wire. I'm not going to work for Damage Control anymore. Let's see, what else did I want to mention about this episode? If his mom did not know that he has powers, which, when the kitchen fire happened, it seems like she did not. I'm going to say that she does now. She's probably like, what the heck is happening? Now, what Eric is going to tell her, his mother, don't know. Or if before he left, Simon said something. But yeah, she's now aware that he has powers. I did like how I assume they were speaking French or maybe Creole, or because it sounds like she's Jamaican. So it's possible it was French. And that what's with people, I could understand them talking behind Trevor's back by speaking French. That makes sense because they assume that he wouldn't know French, which the man's British, so can you really make that assumption? But anyway, they do that in front of Simon. It's like, really? You honestly think that Simon will not understand you? And he even brought it up when they were, totally shit talking him in front of him. He's like, I understand you, right? And again, didn't lose his shit. He just walked away. So if he was such a danger that every time he got upset that he lost it, every time something bad happened, he should be losing his shit on a regular basis. So we can see that he is not the danger people think he is. I mean, maybe as a teenager because they have less emotional control than adults. And some adults, I question their emotional control. But still, he's not a teenager anymore. So, and I see that Trevor is figuring it out. I just wonder, maybe it's going to be next episode where he mentions to Simon about damage control, because he needs to tell him. I mean, they got the call back. Why would his agent be trying to call both of them, though? I mean, I was under the impression that Trevor had a different agent. Because if that were the case, he would have a much easier time connecting with Simon if they worked for the same agent or the same agency. So I'm going to say he has a totally different agent. Why was she trying to contact both of them? That made no sense. Let's see, what else did I want to mention about this episode? Yeah, I cannot wait till Trevor either tells him or that damage control somehow finds him. Because at some point, damage control is going to go after Trevor. Not just Simon, but Trevor. So you would think that Trevor would tell Simon for his own good. Because now Simon has to not just protect himself, but protect Trevor. I don't know. When, I just forgot to mention about this last video, but when he said, I know someone who could help us, I honestly thought that we would get a Shang-Chi cameo. Because let's face it, he knows Shang-Chi. They live in California. I'm sure that he would let them use his apartment. Because if anyone can protect them, it's him. So I was kind of bummed when it wasn't Shang-Chi. Let's see if there's anything else I want to mention about this series so far. I know that this is supposed to be taking the piss out of actors, and I understand that. But I just listened to them talking about the acting process and this and that, and I find it so incredibly boring. Except for when Eric asked him about the American Horror Story thing. Mom first calls it a movie, which, yes, that is something that I've noticed that people who are not American, and not English speaking, I should say, not English speaking, will do that. They will call everything a movie. My nephew used to do that too when he was like 4. But I've noticed that people will ask about this movie or that movie, and people will say, it's not a movie, it's a TV show. So I don't know if there's a certain language that doesn't make a distinction, or or why that happens, but there are certain people who call everything that's on a screen a movie. So, yeah, that is a thing. But how the hell did Eric find out that Simon got fired? I mean, they're making it seem like that Eric just has such an understanding of Simon that Simon doesn't even have to say anything, and he knows exactly what happened. So I guess that's how they're, giving the idea that he has powers too, by the fact that he seems to get Simon so well that he'll even know that he got fired from a job. So I don't know if next episode we're going to see them visit Von Kovacs, or if they're going to have a run-in with Damage Control. I assume that Damage Control won't come back that quickly, because, they have to catch on to the fact that Trevor, basically told them to go screw themselves. So, and, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Trevor has his own thing. Especially, mentioning, oh, by the way, I have this callback with Von Kovacs. So he obviously, now, why? Now, I realize that they have to keep them together for the show, but let's face it, there is no way, if you're looking for somebody of a certain type, that they would pick both Trevor and Simon. I mean, I guess he wants to keep his options open as to what kind of a Wonder Man he wants. And that's why he's going, the gambit with types. One an older man and another a young buff man. Maybe. Let's see. What else is there? I can't wait to see how Damage Control gets its comeuppance. That's gonna be fun. So yeah, we have, let's see, this was episode 3. So we have 5 more episodes. And since, we have to have a callback, them going to the callback, Simon becoming Wonder Man, that's 2 episodes. And we need Damage Control to hunt them down. So that's 3 episodes. So we have 2 episodes of what are they going to do? Is it going to be even more filler than what they've done so far? Or does something else happen? I guess they could have, they already had an episode of him auditioning for a job. So why would they, I would think that once you do the callback, it's just, sit around and wait for the final decision rather than do more preparation, unless he's going to work on another job. Or maybe Trevor's going to ask him point blank finally, if you have powers, why are you thinking so small as pretending to be a superhero? Why not just become one? Because that would make sense. That would make total sense. Why is he only wanting to act when he could be a legit superhero? Maybe his powers scare him. He even said, no one's ever seen that side of me except my family. Which maybe his mom did know before this that he has powers. But maybe he's afraid of his powers. So he figures that the techniques you use for acting to calm down before a role will help him with his powers. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to be a superhero. Maybe towards the end, Trevor will help him, and maybe the Wonder Man show will help, well, movie, will help him realize, how to properly control his powers so they don't come out in these crazy bursts when he completely loses it. He figures out how to control his powers, and maybe he will decide, okay, this acting was awesome, but I'm going to, be a real life superhero. Especially after he has to take on damage control and have to, like I said, not just protect himself, but protect Trevor. Because they're threatening to put Trevor back in jail for some bullshit that, they showed the evidence, like Trevor said. I did my time. The fact that he got a reduced sentence, or he didn't complete his sentence, whatever the hell that means. I mean, damage control is full of shit. So they are threatening him with something that will not happen. He did not escape from jail. He did not do anything illegal. He was given a reduced sentence for whatever reason. So yeah, now Simon doesn't just have to think of himself, he has to help Trevor. And I think that's going to help him come to grips with his powers, and even if he decides to continue as an actor, because, what is that mutant's name? The one who prefers to use her powers for light shows as opposed to being a superhero, even though she is technically part of the X-Men. Oh, I can't think of her name. But, something like that. But that he accepts that he has these powers and will help out when necessary, but will remain an actor. He can do that too. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how these next few episodes go and what he ends up doing with his life. Because they do imply by the fact that, maybe Eric's right about the acting thing. And, that really implies that whether he gets the Wonder Man role ultimately or not, he's going to become a superhero. Let's see. I'm actually impressed that I've almost yapped longer than the episode was. I believe that is all I have for this episode. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.